Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something absolutely fundamental, the way organizations manage their people.
Yeah, the human element. It's arguably the most critical part.
Exactly. We're going to unpack how companies attract talent, nurture it, keep people engaged, basically find the core building blocks of a successful workplace.
Right. And the plan is to give you, our listener, a really solid, comprehensive overview. We've gone through quite a stack of materials, introductory HRM texts, specific manuals, strategic discussions, the whole lot.
The idea is to connect the dots for you, so you don't have to wade through all those separate documents yourself. Kind of a one-stop shop for the essentials.
Precisely. We want to show how these different HR functions, recruitment, training, compensation, all of it, aren't separate silos. They all link up.
So if you're trying to get a quick but thorough handle on human resource management, see how it all fits together, without the overwhelm, this is for you. We're hoping for some aha moments.
Definitely. Let's deliver that clarity.
Okay, let's jump right in. Human resource management, or HRM. What is it in a nutshell?
Well, at its core, HRM is really a strategic, coherent way of managing what is, let's face it, an organization's most valuable asset.
It's people.
It's people. It's all about linking the organization and its employees so they can achieve their goals, mutually.
And it's not just an HR department thing, is it?
No, absolutely not. That's a key point from the sources. It's a basic management function. It happens at all levels. Every manager is, in a way, an HR manager.
Okay. Now, one source drew a distinction between HRM and personnel management. What's the difference there? Seems important.
It really is. Personnel management traditionally was more about sort of norms, customs, established procedures, very much sticking to the letter of the contract, the rule book.
Right, compliance focused.
Exactly. Whereas HRM shifts the focus. It's driven more by the organization's values, its mission. It's about the spirit of the contract being more flexible, more adaptive.
Interesting. So more strategic, more values driven. How does that play out in, say, motivating people?
That's another key difference highlighted. The old personnel view often assumed satisfaction, good pay, benefits leads to motivation.
If you're happy, you'll work hard. Seems logical.
Kind of, but HRM suggests it might work the other way, or at least it's more nuanced. The idea is that high performance, feeling like you're achieving something meaningful, that's what actually drives satisfaction.
Ah, okay. So focus on enabling performance first.
Yes. Create challenging roles, foster teamwork, let people see their impact. That sense of accomplishment is the real motivator, which then leads to satisfaction. It's subtle, but quite profound.
That really flips the script. Okay, so we know it's strategic, people-focused. What areas does HRM actually cover? What falls under its umbrella?
It's pretty broad. You've got the core personnel aspects, planning workforce needs, recruitment, selection, getting people into roles, handling transfers.
The whole staffing cycle.
Right. Then there's employee welfare, looking after well-being, industrial relations, which is managing relationships, sometimes involving unions, and crucially, training and development, making sure people have the skills they need now and for the future.
Okay, comprehensive. One source mentioned functional objectives, maintaining contribution, and tailoring service. Can you unpack those a bit?
Sure. Maintaining contribution at an appropriate level basically means ensuring people are performing effectively, contributing to the organization's goals in line with its strategy, everyone pulling their weight, essentially.
Makes sense. And tailoring service.
That's about the HR function itself being responsive. It needs to understand what the rest of the business actually needs. Maybe sales needs product training, manufacturing needs different shift patterns, and then HR adjusts its support to meet those specific demands.
So HR isn't operating in a vacuum. It has to serve the business.
Exactly. It needs to be a proactive partner, adding real value.
Great foundation. Let's zoom into one of those early stages. Human resource planning, or HRP. What's the core idea?
HRP, simply put, is about getting the right number of qualified people into the right jobs at the right time.
Sounds crucial, but tricky.
It is. It involves forecasting future needs, predicting what skills and how many people you'll need down the line, and then putting programs in place to make sure you can meet those needs, avoiding potential problems like skill shortages, or, conversely, having too many staff.
Okay, so why is this forward-looking planning so vital?
Oh, for so many reasons. Firstly, it has to link directly to the main organizational plan. You can't plan business growth without planning the workforce to support it.
Right, they have to align.
Absolutely. It also determines how much recruitment you need to do. It helps ensure you have a steady supply of people ready for promotion internally. It keeps you ahead of changing technology and the new skills required.
That tech aspect is huge now.
Definitely. It also helps balance the demand for people with the available supply, manage labor turnover effectively, and just make sure you're using your human resources efficiently. Plus, it contributes to creating a better work environment.
So it prevents reactive scrambling for staff later on.
Precisely. It's strategic foresight for your workforce.
How does the process actually work? What are the steps?
Typically, it starts with forecasting demand. Based on business plans, growth projections, you estimate how many people you'll need with what skills.
Okay, looking ahead.
Then you forecast supply. You look at your current workforce, consider things like promotions, transfers, potential retirements, turnover rates. How many people will likely be available internally?
Right, matching internal supply to future demand.
Exactly. Then you compare the two forecasts. If there's a gap, a shortage, or a surplus, you develop plans to address it. That could mean recruitment campaigns, retraining programs, maybe even redundancy plans if there's a surplus.
And what key things do companies need to consider when making these plans?
They need clear objectives for the plan, established policies. They need to think about where they prefer to get people from internal first or external. What are the selection criteria? What are the costs involved?
The budget implications.
Absolutely. And crucially, the workforce plan isn't standalone. It has to be a subsystem of the overall business plan, tightly integrated.
Got it. Okay, so HRP tells us we need people. Next step, finding them. Let's talk recruitment.
Right. Recruitment is the process of identifying and, importantly, attracting potential employees. You've planned the need, now you go find the people.
And it's not just posting an ad, is it? One source called it a form of competition.
That's a great way to put it. Organizations are competing for talent just like they compete for customers. You need a strategy, a recruitment policy to guide how you do it effectively.
Makes sense. So where do organizations typically look? What are the sources?
Broadly, internal and external. Internal means looking within your current workforce.
Promoting from within.
Yes, promotion is a big one. Great for morale usually, but it does create another vacancy lower down.
True. What else internally?
Job posting, advertising openings internally first. And employee referrals, getting current staff to recommend people they know, often a very good source for cultural fit.
Yeah, referrals can be powerful. What about looking outside? External sources.
Lots of options there. Direct methods include things like campus recruiting at universities, using employee contacts, going to job fairs or industry conventions, maintaining lists of past applicants, even mobile recruiting offices sometimes.
I mean, online, obviously.
Oh, massively. Company career websites, big job boards like Indeed or Monster, LinkedIn. Online is huge now. It gives wider reach, it's faster, often cheaper.
Any other external avenues?
Sure. Professional associations often have job listings, specialized recruitment agencies or data banks. Casual applicants who just send in their resumes, sometimes poaching from competitors or working with trade unions.
A real mix. When a company designs its recruitment approach, what guiding principles or philosophies should they consider?
Key things include: where do they primarily want to hire from internal or external focus? How quickly do they need someone's short-term fix or long-term potential? Critically, how will they ensure diversity and inclusion in their candidate pool?
D&I is becoming central.
As it should be. And the whole process needs to be proactive, fair, and honest. Transparency matters.
And I guess the availability of candidates influences how hard they have to look.
Absolutely. The scope and intensity depend on the talent pool. For rare skills, you might need a global search and a much bigger effort. And, external sources do bring fresh perspectives and potentially skills you don't have internally.
Okay, so we've attracted a pool of candidates through recruitment. Now comes the hard part, choosing the right one. Let's talk selection.
Exactly. Selection is that process of sifting through the applicants and choosing the most suitable people for the jobs available.
How do companies typically do that? What are the steps?
It usually starts with screening the applications, resumes, application forms. You want forms that gather the essential info without being intrusive or asking irrelevant questions.
Filter out the clearly unsuitable ones first.
Right. Then often come tests. And there are thousands of types. Ability tests, aptitude tests for potential, performance tests, simulating the job, personality questionnaire.
Wow, thousands. That's a lot of options. What comes after tests usually?
Interviews. still a cornerstone. They can be structured with set questions for everyone.
For fairness.
Yes. Or patterned, following a specific line of inquiry. Panel interviews with multiple interviewers are common, and video interviews, of course, are increasingly used.
What are interviews trying to assess?
Things like cognitive skills, how they interact with others, their enthusiasm, intelligence, but also those more subjective things like their personality, their fit with the team culture.
And sometimes a physical exam.
Yes, especially for jobs with physical demands, checking fitness for the role and any health issues that might be relevant.
It's a multi-stage process to build a full picture. One source stress balancing job fit and organization fit. What's the difference?
Job fit is about having the skills, knowledge, ability to KSAOs to actually do the tasks of the job. Can they perform?
Right, and organization fit.
That's about aligning with the company's culture, its values, the way things are done. Will they thrive in this specific environment? You ideally need both. And selection should also look at potential for growth, not just past achievement. It's strategic.
Makes sense. Someone skilled but disruptive isn't a good hire long term. Are interviews foolproof, though? Any limitations?
Oh, definitely not foolproof. Reliability can be an issue. Different interviewers might judge the same person very differently based on biases.
Subjectivity creeps in.
Easily. And validity can be low if the questions aren't actually related to job performance. Are you measuring what matters for the job or just if you like the person?
Good point. Needs structure and awareness of bias.
Yeah.
Okay, before we even recruit or select, we need to know what the job is. This brings us to job analysis, job description, and job specification. How do these fit together?
Job analysis is the starting point. It's the systematic process of studying a job to collect all the information about it.
What kind of information?
Tasks, responsibilities, the skills needed, the working conditions, reporting lines, how it connects to other jobs, everything. It defines the role, its requirements, its responsibilities. It helps determine the required education, skills, training needed, even how much the job is worth for pay purposes.
So it's the detailed investigation. What comes out of that analysis?
2 key documents, the job description and the job specification.
Okay, what's in a job description?
That's the document describing the job itself. It typically includes the job title, where it sits in the organization, a summary of its purpose, key duties and responsibilities, who you report to, who reports to you, relationships with other jobs.
A factual outline of the role. And the job specification.
That focuses on the person needed for the job described. It outlines the knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics, the KSAOs we mentioned, required to perform the job successfully.
So things like education needed.
Exactly. Education, training, experience level, specific skills, technical or soft competencies, maybe physical abilities, stress tolerance. It's the person profile. And it's crucial for guiding recruitment, knowing what qualifications to look for.
Okay, description for the job, specification for the person. Makes sense. Does job analysis always go smoothly? Any challenges?
Not always. Employees might get anxious, wondering if their job is changing or being evaluated negatively. Management attitude is key. If they don't support it, it won't work well.
Yeah, buy-in is important.
Definitely. Sometimes too much weight is given to what the current job holder says, which might not be the full picture, and jobs change. If you don't update the analysis, it quickly becomes outdated. Lack of follow-up is another common issue.
Good points. Right, so we understand the job. Now, how do we actually structure it? Job design.
Yes. Job design is about combining the job's content, the tasks, with the work methods used to perform those tasks.
What's the goal of good job design?
It's about finding that sweet spot. Integrating the needs of the employee for things like satisfaction, meaning challenge with the requirements of the organization like productivity, efficiency, quality.
A balancing act. What factors influence how a job is designed?
Several things. Organizational factors like the company structure, the technology available, environmental factors like the physical workspace, maybe legal requirements, and crucially, behavioral factors, the needs, skills, and motivations of the people doing the work.
Okay. We often hear terms like job enlargement and job enrichment. What's the difference?
Job enlargement basically means increasing the variety of tasks an employee does, usually at a similar skill level. It adds more tasks horizontally.
To reduce boredom.
Yeah, mainly. Increases task diversity, maybe gives a better sense of the whole process, but it doesn't usually add more responsibility or depth, and it might require longer training.
Okay. And job enrichment.
That's different. It's about vertically expanding the job.
Yeah.
Giving the employee more control, more autonomy over planning, executing, and evaluating their own work.
more responsibility and decision-making.
Exactly. The goal is intrinsic satisfaction, making the work itself more challenging, interesting, offering opportunities for achievement, recognition, growth. It adds depth.
Got it. Enlargement is wider, enrichment is deeper. Okay, we've hired someone, designed their job. Now, how do we equip them? Training and development.
Crucial stage. Training is a planned program designed specifically to improve performance in the current job.
How does it do that?
By bringing about measurable changes in knowledge, skills, attitudes, maybe behavior. It's about imparting specific skills for a particular job. And it's not a one-off thing. It should be continuous.
Why is it so important for companies to invest in this? The benefits seem numerous in the sources.
Oh, they are. Increased productivity, better quality, helps meet future skill needs, improves the overall organizational climate, enhances health and safety.
Prevents skills becoming outdated.
Yes, prevents obsolescence. Fosters personal growth for employees, can reduce resistance to change, improve job security and satisfaction, potentially lead to less need for supervision, fewer accidents. It helps companies compete, helps employees develop and increase their earning capacity. It's a win-win.
A very long list of positives.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between training and management development?
Yes, there's a distinction often made. Training is usually shorter term, focused on skills for the current job, often delivered through organized events like workshops.
Okay, and development.
Management development is typically longer term, broader. It aims to prepare people for future roles, especially leadership ones. It often involves more personalized experiences, coaching, mentoring, job rotation, special projects.
Training for now, development for the future. Makes sense. How is training actually delivered? What methods are used?
Broadly, on the job and off the job. On the job happens while working, like job instruction training, JIT, step-by-step guidance from a trainer or experienced colleague, or vestibule training, which uses a simulated work area. Learning by doing, but maybe in a safer space first.
Right. Off the job happens away from the workstation. Workshops, seminars, conferences are common. Simulation exercises like role-playing are great for interpersonal skills. Job rotation, moving between different roles, builds broader experience.
A mix of approaches. What's needed for training to be truly successful?
Top management support is absolutely critical. If leadership doesn't value it, it won't stick.
Yeah, evaluating it.
Essential. You need to compare the outcomes against the original objectives. Did it achieve what it set out to? Was it worth the cost? Use feedback to continuously improve future training. Decide if programs should continue or be modified. Evaluation closes the loop.
Okay, people are trained. Now let's talk reward. Compensation and benefits. It's not just about the paycheck, is it?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
One source made a great point. Reward is the total package. There needs to be a balance between direct pay and those indirect rewards, like a positive work environment, opportunities, recognition.
What are some of those common indirect rewards or benefits? Fringe benefits. Exactly. Fringe benefits are compensation beyond base pay and direct incentives. Things like health insurance, retirement plans, paid leave, maybe tuition assistance, housing allowances, travel subsidies. They enhance overall well-being.
And how do incentives fit in?
Incentives are usually tied directly to performance. They're designed to motivate superior results, attract top talent, and retain high performers.
Financial incentives, like bonuses.
Yes. Financial ones like bonuses, profit sharing, stock options are common. But non-financial incentives matter too. Public recognition, promotion opportunities, more autonomy.
We also saw competency-based compensation. What's that about?
That's paying people based on the skills, knowledge, and behaviors, the competencies they possess and demonstrate, rather than just their job title or seniority.
So you pay for the skills, not just the position.
Right. Often linked to broad banding, where you have wider pay ranges linked to competency levels. Pay progression is tied to developing skills and contributing more, not just climbing a ladder.
Interesting shift. What are the absolute core principles for any compensation system?
Fairness and objectivity are paramount. Employees must perceive the system as fair and transparent. Decisions should be based on objective criteria related to the job and contribution. Consistency is also key.
What factors actually determine how much a company pays?
It's a mix. Labor market conditions, supply and demand for skills. The company's strategic goals and its financial ability to pay. Management's philosophy on compensation. And of course, legal requirements like minimum wage laws or equal pay acts.
So internal and external pressures. Why is a well-structured compensation system so important overall?
It ensures people feel properly rewarded for their contributions. It can positively control efficiency by linking pay to performance. It motivates better performance, creates workforce satisfaction, and helps limit costly employee turnover. It's fundamental to attracting and keeping the right people.
Are there specific types of incentive schemes companies use?
Oh yes, loads. Simple ones like straight piece rate pay per unit produced, differential piece rates that vary based on output level, task and time bonuses, merit rating based on appraisals, then more complex plans like Halsey, Rowan, Emerson, Beddoe, Taylor's differential system. Lots of different ways to calculate performance-based bonuses.
Okay, quite technical.
Right.
Right, people are paid. How do we know how well they're actually doing? Performance appraisal.
Yes, the formal process to establish performance standards and then evaluate how employees are doing against those standards.
What are the main goals of doing appraisals?
Several key ones. Determining how much someone is contributing to organizational goals, informing decisions about pay rises, bonuses, helping restructure job hierarchies if needed. It provides a basis for personnel decisions, promotions, demotions, transfers, even termination.
So evaluation, but also development.
Absolutely. Providing feedback to employees is crucial. Identifying their strengths and weaknesses, figuring out their training needs, and using the results to potentially set new higher standards for the future.
What are some traditional ways appraisals have been done?
Things like unstructured appraisals, just a general write-up, graphic rating scales, where you rate traits on a scale, paired comparison, comparing everyone against everyone else, ranking employees from best to worst, or grading systems, putting people into performance categories.
And more modern approaches.
360-degree feedback is a big one now. Getting input from multiple sources, manager, peers, subordinates, even customers, plus a self-assessment.
Gives a more rounded view.
Exactly. Especially useful for assessing softer skills like teamwork and communication.
What's the typical process for an appraisal cycle?
Generally, you start by setting clear performance standards, then communicate those standards so everyone knows what's expected, measure the actual performance over a period, compare the actual against the standard, discuss the results with the employee, and then, importantly, take collective action, make a plan for improvement or development.
Sounds straightforward, but are there pitfalls?
Yeah.
Problems with appraisals?
Oh, definitely. Judgment errors by raters are common. Things like the halo effect, letting one good trait color everything else positive. Or the horn effect, the opposite.
Bias creeping in.
Yes. Central tendency rating everyone average. Leniency or strictness bias always rating high or low. Beyond rater errors, the system itself might be subjective, lack reliability or validity, be too time-consuming, or generate narrative feedback that's hard to analyze consistently.
So Exequer requires careful design and training for managers.
Okay, shifting gears slightly, employee relations and employee voice. What's this area about?
Employee relations covers the whole approach to managing the relationship between the organization and its employees. The processes, policies, the overall climate, how you manage with or without unions.
And the employment relationship itself.
That's about the nature of that connection, the legal basis, the contracts, formal and informal, and crucially, building and maintaining trust.
We saw the term psychological contract. What is that? That's the unwritten stuff. The mutual expectations and beliefs employees and employers have about their obligations to each other. Things like fair treatment, job security, development opportunities, respect. It's not legally binding, but it's hugely important for morale and commitment.
If that contract feels broken, people get disengaged.
Exactly. Maintaining a positive psychological contract is key.
How does industrial relations fit in? Sounds more formal.
It usually refers to relations where employees are represented collectively, often by trade unions. So it involves things like union recognition, collective bargaining over pay and conditions, handling disputes, interpreting collective agreements, but it also includes informal consultation processes.
And employee voice, what does that mean?
That's about the ways employees can express their views, concerns, suggestions, channels for upward communication. It could be through surveys, suggestion schemes, staff councils, union reps. The goal is for employees to feel heard and that their input matters. The effectiveness depends on how genuine the process is.
Creating channels for feedback. Does collective bargaining play a big role here?
Where unions exist, yes. Collective bargaining is negotiation on behalf of a group of employees. It requires freedom of association and support of labor laws. The fact that it's an ongoing relationship often motivates both sides to find solutions.
What kind of issues can crop up in industrial relations?
Conflicts can arise. Strikes are the most obvious: overpay, conditions, sympathy strikes, etc., lockouts by employers. Sometimes rivalry between different unions or political interference can complicate things.
How should organizations handle discipline and grievances fairly?
Fair disciplinary action requires clear rules, communicated well, and applied consistently. For grievances, you need a clear procedure. It should aim for a quick, fair hearing, allow discussion, require a management response within set times, and have appeal stages. Good record keeping is vital. Usually starts with the immediate supervisor, then can escalate.
Okay, let's turn to employee well-being and safety. Why is this so important now?
It's moved center stage. Organizations recognize that employee well-being, physical, mental, emotional health directly impacts performance, engagement, retention. It's not just nice to have.
What contributes to poor well-being at work?
Lots of things. The work environment itself, negative management behavior, poor work-life balance, excessive stress, harassment, bullying. All major factors.
And safety. What are the core requirements like OSHA in the US?
Legal frameworks like OSHA mandate a safe work environment. That means providing safety information and training, keeping records of incidents, guidelines for handling hazardous materials, having emergency plans, ensuring safe workspaces, providing first aid.
It covers a lot. What about things like workplace violence?
Sadly, yes. That's a significant issue, especially for workers who deal with the public, handle cash, deliver services. Organizations need plans to mitigate those risks.
How can a company create an effective safety program?
Needs clear goals. Needs employee buy-in and voluntary compliance, not just rules. Requires good safety training. Often uses programs like safety weeks or posters to keep awareness high.
Mental health was highlighted as foundational to well-being. How does work impact it?
Hugely. Job demands, poor job design, lack of control, unfair policies, bad supervision, difficult environment, poorly designed tech, bad ergonomics. All these can negatively impact mental health.
And good mental health supports good performance.
Absolutely. They are completely interconnected.
What's HR's role in supporting mental health?
HR needs to monitor workplace factors, handle issues sensitively, promote a culture of well-being, provide resources, and help enhance overall functioning by prioritizing mental health.
Right. Looking beyond immediate well-being, let's consider growth, employee development, and career development.
Employee development is about activities influencing personal and professional growth, enhancing skills and capabilities for the future.
And career development.
That's more focused on helping people manage their work progression over time, aligning personal goals with organizational opportunities or broader professional paths.
Why are these important for the organization?
Employee development ensures you have the talent needed for future strategy. It boosts engagement and retention. Supporting career development helps individuals achieve aspirations, but also builds your internal talent pipeline for leadership roles. It fosters continuous learning.
How do companies support career development in practice?
Through career planning programs, counseling, providing info on internal paths, facilitating internal mobility like promotions and transfers, sometimes supporting external moves too. Flexibility is key now, given how fast things change. And again, top management support is crucial.
How does succession planning fit in?
That's a very strategic part of it. Identifying and developing high-potential employees specifically for future top leadership roles. It's about ensuring leadership continuity. Involves identifying needed competencies, assessing people, providing targeted development, and retaining those key individuals.
We also saw the term boundaryless careers. What does that imply?
It reflects that careers often aren't contained within one company anymore. People move around, skills become portable. Employees need to take more control of their own development, and organizations need to accept that and focus on developing transferable skills.
The loyalty dynamic has shifted. Okay, final stages. When someone new joins, induction, orientation, onboarding, what's this about?
It's the whole process of bringing new hires into the organization and helping them adjust, getting them settled in their role, the team, the culture.
More than just the first day paperwork.
Much more. The goal is to transition them from outsider to insider, make them feel knowledgeable and comfortable. Effective onboarding is an ongoing process, not a single event, critical for success and retention.
What are the benefits?
For the employee, clearer understanding of their role, good first impression, more commitment, access to key info. For the company, faster integration, higher satisfaction, lower early turnover, quicker productivity. There might be a general company induction and a more specific job team orientation.
Okay, pulling it all together. Who oversees all these interconnected parts? The role of the HR manager. How has that changed?
Massively. It's evolved alongside organizational needs. Companies need to be adaptable, resilient, customer-focused. So HR needs to be too.
From administrator to what?
To strategic partner, contributing to business strategy. Also, employee sponsor or advocate, championing employee needs. And change mentor, helping navigate transitions. The future involves enhancing traditional functions, but with more innovative problem solving.
A much more central, influential role. Lastly, diversity and inclusion came up a few times. Why the increasing focus?
It's moved from being seen as maybe a liability or just compliance to a huge asset.
Sure.
Diverse perspectives fuel innovation, better problem solving, better understanding of diverse markets.
And globalization plays a part.
Absolutely. Working across cultures in global alliances requires cooperation and understanding. Managing diversity effectively and creating an inclusive environment is now a core management competency.
It really highlights how interconnected everything is: planning, recruiting, developing, rewarding, relating, all vital for organizational health.
Indeed. Understanding these basics and how they interplay gives you such a solid foundation for understanding how successful organizations really function.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a thought to leave you with. We touched on technology. AI is increasingly impacting HR functions. How might these fundamental principles we've discussed managing the human element need to adapt or evolve as technology continues to reshape work itself?
That's the big question, isn't it? The principles might endure, but their application will certainly change. And if any specific area we covered today really caught your interest, maybe recruitment tech, or well-being strategies, or performance management innovations, we really encourage you to dig deeper. Think of this as just the starting point.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for this look into the foundations of human resource management. Until the next deep dive, keep exploring.
नमस्कार। आज हम एचआर यानी ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट की दुनिया में थोड़ा गहराई से उतर रहे हैं।
हाँ, बिल्कुल।
हमारे पास कई तरह के दस्तावेज हैं, कुछ अकादमिक लेख हैं, नोट्स हैं और हाँ, कंपनियों के पॉलिसी मैनुअल्स भी।
सही।
तो हमारा मकसद है इन सब में से ये समझना कि कंपनियां मतलब अपनी टीम को कैसे बनाती हैं, कैसे संभालती हैं और उनका ख्याल कैसे रखती हैं।
बिल्कुल, और ये जानना वाकई जरूरी है कि एचआरएम सिर्फ वो लोगों को नौकरी पर रखना या सैलरी देना ही नहीं है।
हाँ, वो तो है।
जैसा कि इन दस्तावेजों से भी साफ पता चलता है, ये असल में कंपनी की बड़ी योजनाओं का हिस्सा है और इसका सीधा असर टीम के काम और कह सकते हैं उनके कंपनी में टिके रहने पर पड़ता है।
अच्छा,
तो देखते हैं ये स्रोत और क्या राज खोलते हैं।
हाँ, तो फिर शुरू करते हैं प्लानिंग से, है ना?
हाँ,
इन दस्तावेजों के अनुसार एचआर प्लानिंग बहुत अहम है।
बहुत ज्यादा।
मतलब ये पक्का करना कि सही काम के लिए सही समय पर सही हुनर वाले लोग हों। ये सिर्फ गिनती का खेल नहीं है।
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं। ये तो कंपनी के लक्ष्यों से जुड़ा होना चाहिए।
और यहीं पर अहम जॉब एनालिसिस यानी काम का विश्लेषण जरूरी हो जाता है।
जॉब एनालिसिस
वो क्या है ठीक से?
देखिए, ये एक तरीका है जिससे किसी भी जॉब की जिम्मेदारियों और उसके लिए जरूरी योग्यताओं को समझा जाता है।
अच्छा,
इसी आधार पर फिर जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन मतलब काम का ब्यौरा और जॉब स्पेसिफिकेशन यानी जरूरी योग्यता है, ये तैयार होते हैं।
तो स्पेसिफिकेशन में क्या होता है?
स्पेसिफिकेशन बताता है कि काम करने वाले में क्या खास गुण होने चाहिए, शारीरिक, मानसिक, व्यक्तिगत, इस तरह की चीजें।
समझ गया। अच्छा, तो सही लोगों को चुनने की योजना तो बन गई, लेकिन असल में उन्हें कंपनी में लाते कैसे? भर्ती है ना, रिक्रूटमेंट।
हाँ, भर्ती। और स्रोत दो मुख्य तरीके बताते हैं। एक तो कंपनी के अंदर से ही,
जैसे प्रमोशन या ट्रांसफर।
हाँ बिल्कुल, या कर्मचारी रेफरल भी। और दूसरा तरीका है बाहर से, जैसे विज्ञापन देना या कॉलेज कैंपस से भर्ती करना।
तो इसमें क्या बेहतर है, अंदर से या बाहर से?
देखिए, ये एक जरूरी फैसला है। अंदरूनी भर्ती से, जैसा कुछ नोट्स में भी लिखा है, मौजूदा कर्मचारियों का हौसला बढ़ता है, खर्चा भी कम होता है।
हाँ, ये तो है।
लेकिन बाहरी भर्ती से नए विचार और नई प्रतिभा आती है, जो आजकल के कंपटीशन में बहुत जरूरी है।
तो दोनों के अपने फायदे नुकसान हैं।
बिल्कुल।
ठीक है, एक बार टीम बन गई तो अगला कदम होता है ये समझना कि भाई वे काम कैसा कर रहे हैं। परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल की बात।
हाँ, प्रदर्शन मूल्यांकन, और इसके भी कई तरीके इन दस्तावेजों में बताए गए हैं। एक दिलचस्प तरीका है 360 डिग्री फीडबैक।
हो हाँ, सुना है इसके बारे में। इसमें सिर्फ बॉस ही नहीं।
सही, इसमें साथ काम करने वाले, नीचे काम करने वाले और कभी-कभी ग्राहक भी राय देते हैं।
ये तो काफी व्यापक लगता है
तो, लेकिन इसका असली मकसद सिर्फ सैलरी बढ़ाना या प्रमोशन देना नहीं होता।
तो फिर क्या है?
असल में ये कर्मचारियों के विकास की जरूरतों को पहचानने का भी एक जरिया है कि उन्हें और कहाँ ट्रेनिंग चाहिए वगैरह। हालांकि इन स्रोतों में चेतावनी भी दी गई है, अगर मूल्यांकन करने वाले का झुकाव किसी तरफ हो, मतलब कोई बायस हो या वो ज्यादा नरम या सख्त हो जाए
तो गड़बड़ हो सकती है।
बिल्कुल। कुछ शोध तो ये भी कहते हैं कि बिना सही ट्रेनिंग के 360 डिग्री फीडबैक हौसला गिरा भी सकता है, इसलिए मानक स्पष्ट और निष्पक्ष होने चाहिए।
सही बात है। और विकास के लिए फिर ट्रेनिंग तो जरूरी है ही। स्रोत बताते हैं कि ट्रेनिंग काम करते करते भी हो सकती है।
हाँ, ऑन द जॉब ट्रेनिंग, जैसे जॉब रोटेशन।
और काम से अलग भी, जैसे वर्कशॉप या सेमिनार।
बिल्कुल, ऑफ द जॉब ट्रेनिंग। और आजकल तो ई लर्निंग और मल्टीमीडिया का भी काफी जोर है।
हाँ, वो तो है।
और इसका असर साफ दिखता है। ट्रेनिंग से न सिर्फ हुनर बढ़ता है, बल्कि एकेडमिक लेख बताते हैं कि इससे काम की जगह पर दुर्घटनाएं कम होती हैं।
अच्छा।
और टीम का मनोबल भी ऊंचा रहता है। तो ये एक तरह का निवेश है कंपनी के लिए।
बिल्कुल। चलिए अब आते हैं उस हिस्से पर जो शायद सबको पसंद है, इनाम और फायदे, कॉम्पनसेशन एंड बेनिफिट्स।
हाँ, ये भी बहुत जरूरी है। इसमें सिर्फ सैलरी नहीं आती, इंसेंटिव भी हैं। कुछ पुराने तरीकों का भी जिक्र है, जैसे टेलर या मेरिक की पीस रेट योजनाएं।
यानी जितना काम उतना पैसा।
हाँ, कुछ वैसा ही। और फिर है फ्रिंज बेनिफिट्स।
अच्छा, उसमें क्या क्या आता है?
जैसे प्रोविडेंट फंड, ग्रेचुइटी, बीमा, कैंटीन, मेडिकल मदद, ये सब। पॉलिसी मैनुअल में तो और भी चीजें हैं, यात्रा भत्ता यानी TADA, फोन खरीदने में मदद, बच्चों की पढ़ाई के भत्ते। लिस्ट लंबी है।
वाह।
और ये फायदे सिर्फ पैसों की मदद नहीं करते। कई अध्ययन बताते हैं कि अच्छी सैलरी तो लोगों को खींचती है, लेकिन उन्हें कंपनी से जोड़े रखने में अक्सर ये स्वास्थ्य बीमा या बच्चों की पढ़ाई जैसे फायदे ज्यादा कारगर होते हैं।
ये बात तो है।
ये कर्मचारियों को प्रेरित करते हैं और कंपनी के प्रति वफादार बनाते हैं। और हाँ, एक और बात, कंपनियों की ये कानूनी और नैतिक जिम्मेदारी भी है कि काम करने की जगह सुरक्षित हो।
सुरक्षा मतलब?
अमेरिका के ओशा नियमों का जिक्र इसी संदर्भ में आता है। वहाँ के आंकड़े देखिए, हर साल हजारों मौतें और लाखों चोटें काम से जुड़ी होती हैं।
अरे बाप रे।
तो ये सुरक्षा के महत्व को दिखाता है।
और मैंने देखा हाल के दस्तावेजों में मानसिक स्वास्थ्य पर भी काफी जोर है, खासकर महामारी के बाद।
बिल्कुल सही। बेरोजगारी का मानसिक सेहत पर असर और दफ्तर में तनाव कम करने के तरीके, ये सब अब HR के लिए बड़ी प्राथमिकता बन गए हैं।
सही है।
तो कुल मिलाकर इन सभी स्रोतों से ये साफ है कि HRM कोई साधारण काम नहीं, बल्कि एक पूरी रणनीति है। इसमें प्लानिंग, भर्ती, प्रदर्शन, फायदे और कर्मचारियों की भलाई सब एक दूसरे से जुड़े हैं।
सही कहा।
ये सिर्फ कोई एडमिन काम नहीं, बल्कि कंपनी की तरक्की के लिए बेहद अहम है और लगातार बदल भी रहा है।
बिल्कुल।
और यही हमें भविष्य के एक अहम सवाल पर लाता है।
क्या सवाल?
कि जैसे जैसे टेक्नोलॉजी और ग्लोबलाइजेशन, काम करने के तरीके बदल रहे हैं और अलग अलग देशों की संस्कृतियां भी अपना असर डाल रही हैं, तो मानव संसाधन प्रबंधन यानी HR इन नई चुनौतियों और मौकों के हिसाब से खुद को कैसे बदलेगा?
ये सोचने वाली बात है।
हाँ, ये सोचना वाकई दिलचस्प होगा।
ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਇਸ ਖਾਸ ਖੁੱਕ ਪੜਤਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਸਰੋਤ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧਨ ਦੀ, ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ HRM ਦੀ। ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਨਾ ਕਈ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਰੋਤ ਨੇ, ਕੁਝ ਅਕਾਦਮਿਕ ਪੇਪਰ, ਕੁਝ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਨਵੇਂ ਲੇਖ ਵੀ। ਮਕਸਦ ਬੜਾ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਨਾ ਕੰਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ, ਮੁੱਖ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕੱਢਣੇ ਨੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਰਣਨੀਤਿਕ HRM, ਭਰਤੀ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਸਿਖਲਾਈ, ਕਾਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰੀ, ਤਨਖਾਹਾਂ, ਮਤਲਬ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ।
हाँ जी बिल्कुल। ते ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਮਤਲਬ ਪਰਿਭਾਸ਼ਾਵਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੁਕਣਾ, ਅਸਲ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝਣੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਿਤਾਬੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਅਸਲ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਚੱਲਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਤਾਕਤ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸਾਂਭਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੱਕ।
ਚਲੋ ਫਿਰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰੀਏ ਰਣਨੀਤਿਕ HRM ਤੋਂ। ਸਰੋਤ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ HR ਪਾਲਿਸੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਟੀਚਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਨਾ। ਸਿਰਫ ਰੋਜ਼ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ। ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ HPWS यानी उच्च प्रदर्शन वाले कार्य प्रणालियां।
हाँ, HPWS ਇਹਦਾ ਮਕਸਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਜ ਤਿਆਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਨਤੀਜੇ ਮਿਲਣ। ਲੰਬੀ ਸੋਚ ਹੈ ਇਹ, ਪਰ ਵਧੀਆ ਨਤੀਜਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਹੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ।
ਹਾਂ, ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸਹੀ ਲੋਕ ਲੱਭਣਾ। ਭਰਤੀ ਤੇ ਭਰਤੀ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਿਰਫ ਇਸ਼ਤਿਹਾਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਚੰਗੇ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਿੱਚਣਾ, ਫਿਰ ਚੋਣ ਕਰਨੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਤੇ ਸਰੋਤਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਅੰਦਰੂਨੀ ਬਨਾਮ ਬਾਹਰੀ ਭਰਤੀ ਦੀ, ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਹੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਲੈਣਾ ਜਾਂ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਨਵਾਂ ਬੰਦਾ ਲਿਆਉਣਾ।
ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਅੰਦਰੂਨੀ ਭਰਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਮਚਾਰੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਹੌਸਲਾ ਵੱਧ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ।
ਹਾਂ, ਇਹ ਨੁਕਤਾ ਉੱਭਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਹੌਸਲਾ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਹੈ, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਣ ਦੇ ਮੌਕੇ ਹਨ।
ਠੀਕ, ਤੇ ਚੋਣ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ? ਸਰੋਤ ਕੀ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨੇ?
ਕਈ ਪੜਾਅ ਨੇ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਦਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਲੇਸ਼ਣ, ਕੰਮ ਕੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ, ਪੂਰਾ ਵੇਰਵਾ। ਫਿਰ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ
ਟੈਸਟ? ਕਿਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਟੈਸਟ?
ਜਿਵੇਂ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਗਿਆਨ ਦਾ ਟੈਸਟ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਈਕੋਮੋਟਰ ਟੈਸਟ, ਮਤਲਬ ਹੱਥਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਸਹੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ, ਤੇ ਅਖੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੈਫਰੈਂਸ ਚੈੱਕ, ਯਾਨੀ ਪਿਛਲੀ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਪੁੱਛਗਿੱਛ।
ਅੱਛਾ, ਤੇ ਅੱਜਕੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਸਭ ਡਿਜੀਟਲ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਭਰਤੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਹਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਹੈ?
ਓਹੋ, ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ। ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੋਵਿਡ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਤੇਜ਼ੀ ਆਈ ਹੈ। ਸਰੋਤਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਹੈ AI ਦਾ, ਆਰਟੀਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦਾ, ਵੀਡੀਓ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ, ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਟੈਸਟ।
ਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਫਾਇਦੇ ਕੀ ਦੱਸੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪੱਖਪਾਤ ਘੱਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ।
ਹਾਂ, ਦਾਵਾ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਨਾਲ ਸਹੀ ਫਿੱਟ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ, ਮਤਲਬ ਬੰਦਾ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦੇ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਹੀ ਬੈਠਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪੱਖਪਾਤ ਦੀ ਗੁੰਜਾਇਸ਼ ਘਟ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਬਹਿਸ ਵੀ ਹੈ। ਖੈਰ,
ਚਲੋ ਮੰਨ ਲਿਆ ਸਹੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ, ਫਿਰ ਅਗਲਾ ਕਦਮ?
ਫਿਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਿਕਾਸ, ਸਿਖਲਾਈ, ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ। ਮਕਸਦ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੁਨਰ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਗਿਆਨ ਵਧਾਉਣਾ।
ਤੇ ਸਿਖਲਾਈ ਦੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਕੀ ਨੇ?
ਕਈ ਨੇ। ਕੁਝ ਤਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਹੀ ਸਿਖਲਾਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਜੌਬ ਰੋਟੇਸ਼ਨ, ਇੱਕ ਕੰਮ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਜੇ ਤੇ ਭੇਜਣਾ, ਜਾਂ ਕੋਚਿੰਗ, ਕਿਸੇ ਸੀਨੀਅਰ ਤੋਂ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ।
ਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਕੰਮ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਲਾਸਰੂਮ ਲੈਕਚਰ, ਕੇਸ ਸਟੱਡੀਜ਼। ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਹੈ ਵੈਸਟੀਬਿਊਲ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ। ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਅਸਲ ਕੰਮ ਵਾਲੀ ਥਾਂ ਵਰਗਾ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ।
ਇਹ ਦਿਲਚਸਪ ਹੈ। ਅੱਛਾ, ਪਰ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਇਹ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਦੇਖਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਿਖਲਾਈ ਦਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਾਂ ਕੌਣ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ? ਇੱਥੇ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਕਾਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰੀ ਮੁਲਾਂਕਣ, ਪਰਫਾਰਮੈਂਸ ਅਪਰੇਜ਼ਲ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ, ਪਰਫਾਰਮੈਂਸ ਅਪਰੇਜ਼ਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਇਹ ਕਰਮਚਾਰੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਦਾ ਮੁਲਾਂਕਣ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਤਰੀਕੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਈ ਨੇ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਗ੍ਰਾਫਿਕ ਰੇਟਿੰਗ ਸਕੇਲ, ਰੈਂਕਿੰਗ ਸਿਸਟਮ।
ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਨਾਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸੀ, BARS। ਉਹ ਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ?
ਹਾਂ, BARS ਬਿਹੇਵੀਅਰਲੀ ਐਂਕਰਡ ਰੇਟਿੰਗ ਸਕੇਲਸ। ਇਹ ਥੋੜਾ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਖਾਸ ਕੰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿਵਹਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੇਟਿੰਗ ਪੁਆਇੰਟਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੁਲਾਂਕਣ ਵਧੇਰੇ ਠੋਸ ਹੋਵੇ, ਸਿਰਫ ਹਾਂ ਪੱਖੀ ਜਾਂ ਨਾ ਪੱਖੀ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ।
ਪਰ ਇਹ ਮੁਲਾਂਕਣ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੌਖਾ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ, ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ।
ਬਹੁਤ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਸਰੋਤ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਚੇਤਾਵਨੀ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹਾਲੋ ਇਫੈਕਟ, ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਮ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਚੰਗਾ ਮੰਨ ਲੈਣਾ, ਜਾਂ ਇਹਦਾ ਉਲਟਾ।
ਅੱਛਾ, ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤੀ?
ਹਾਂ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਨਰਮੀ ਜਾਂ ਸਖਤੀ। ਕੁਝ ਮੈਨੇਜਰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਰੇਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕੁਝ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਘੱਟ। ਜਾਂ ਕੇਂਦਰੀ ਪ੍ਰਵਿਰਤੀ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਚਕਾਰਲਾ ਔਸਤ ਜਿਹਾ ਦਰਜਾ ਦੇ ਦੇਣਾ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਸਹੀ ਮੁਲਾਂਕਣ ਲਈ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਮੁਲਾਂਕਣ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਫਿਰ ਗੱਲ ਆਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੀ, ਮੁਆਵਜ਼ੇ ਦੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਕੰਪਨਸੇਸ਼ਨ। ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਨਖਾਹਾਂ, ਬੋਨਸ, ਪ੍ਰੋਤਸਾਹਨ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਸਿਰਫ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਤਨਖਾਹ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਫ੍ਰਿੰਜ ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟਸ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਅਹਿਮ ਨੇ।
ਫ੍ਰਿੰਜ ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟਸ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਧੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦੀਆਂ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਦੀ ਸਹੂਲਤ, ਬੀਮਾ, ਛੁੱਟੀਆਂ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੀਤੀ ਦਸਤਾਵੇਜ਼ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਬਾਰੀਕੀ ਨਾਲ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਟਰੈਵਲ ਅਲਾਉੈਂਸ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਦਾ ਪੱਤਾ, PF, ਗ੍ਰੈਚੁਇਟੀ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਲਾਭਾਂ ਲਈ ਨਾਮਜ਼ਦਗੀ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, ਪੂਰੀ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ।
ਵਾਹ, ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਪਰ HRM ਸਿਰਫ ਤਨਖਾਹ ਤੇ ਭਰਤੀ ਤੱਕ ਹੀ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ, ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ?
ਨਹੀਂ, ਦਾਇਰਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਹੈ। ਕੰਮ ਵਾਲੀ ਥਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੁਰੱਖਿਆ, ਸੇਫਟੀ, ਕਰਮਚਾਰੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਮੂਲੀਅਤ ਯਾਨੀ EMPLOYEE ਇੰਗੇਜਮੈਂਟ। ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਨਾਲ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਜੁੜੇ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਤੇ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਇਤ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੱਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆਵਾਂ।
EMPLOYEE ਇੰਗੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਤੇ ਅੱਜਕੱਲ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ। ਤੇ ਸਰੋਤ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਚੰਗੀ ਤਨਖਾਹ ਤੇ ਨਿਰਭਰ ਨਹੀਂ। ਲੋਕ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਸਾਰਥਕ ਹੋਵੇ, ਕੋਈ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੋਵੇ ਉਹਦਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੈਨੇਜਰ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣੀ ਜਾਵੇ।
ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਉੱਭਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੁਣ, ਉਹ ਹੈ ਮਾਨਸਿਕ ਸਿਹਤ ਦਾ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸਹੀ। ਮਹਾਮਾਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧਿਆ ਹੈ। ਸਰੋਤਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਸਾਫ਼ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੰਮ ਦੀ ਸਥਿਤੀ, ਬੇਰੁਜ਼ਗਾਰੀ ਤੇ ਮਾਨਸਿਕ ਸਿਹਤ ਦਾ ਆਪਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੂੜਾ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਲਈ HR ਵਿਭਾਗ ਹੁਣ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਤੰਦਰੁਸਤੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ, ਵੈਲਨੈਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮਸ ਬਣਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੰਤੁਲਨ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ।
ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਮੇਟੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਨਿਚੋੜ ਨਿਕਲਦਾ ਹੈ? ਇਹੀ ਕਿ HRM ਕੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਸਾਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ, ਬਲਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਗੁੰਝਲਦਾਰ ਖੇਤਰ ਹੈ।
ਹਾਂ, ਬਹੁਤ ਗੁੰਝਲਦਾਰ ਪਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ। ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਦੀ ਪਾਲਣਾ ਵੀ ਹੈ, ਕਰਮਚਾਰੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਭਲਾਈ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਰਣਨੀਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਤਾਲਮੇਲ ਵੀ।
ਤਾਂ ਮੋਟੀ ਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਹੋਈ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧਨ ਸਹੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦੀ ਸਫਲਤਾ ਲਈ ਬੇहद ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ। ਮੁੱਖ ਸਿੱਟਾ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਢੰਗ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਭਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ। ਸਹੀ ਲੋਕ ਲਿਆਉਣੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੁਨਰ ਨਿਖਾਰਨੇ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗਾ ਸਕਾਰਾਤਮਕ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੁਣਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਸਵਾਲ। ਅਸੀਂ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ, AI ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਉਮੀਦਾਂ ਵੀ ਬਦਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਤਾਂ ਭਵਿੱਖ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ HRM ਦੇ ਕੰਮਕਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ? ਇਸ ਤੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ।
ਹਾਂ, ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸੋਚਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ। ਭਵਿੱਖ ਬਹੁਤ ਦਿਲਚਸਪ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਖੇਤਰ ਵਿੱਚ।